Hey, how are we doing today? Matt Ritchie here, lifestyle architect, creator of the 30-Day Best Life Challenge. Today's training is going to be on self-mastery. So what exactly is self-mastery? Self-mastery is having complete conscious awareness of our reality, being able to tie our thoughts into our actions and how that action creates our reality one moment at a time. So this self-mastery can be achieved many ways. I mean, people have been doing it for thousands of years through different types of mantras, meditations, prayer, channeling. I mean, there's just numerous ways that you can cultivate and practice self-mastery. But I first want to go over the concept of our actions creating our world and our thoughts creating our actions. This is a really big portion of it. If you don't understand this and if you don't really believe this, self-mastery isn't going to work that well for you. So, the idea that every single thought we have is put into the world, is manifested in some way or another. Unless, of course, we catch those thoughts and we can discard them, or we can let them sink into our subconscious mind, and then they become part of our being, part of who we are, how we show up in the world. So this idea of thoughts creating emotions, creating actions, creating our reality one moment at a time is something that has been extremely powerful and extremely real in my life for the last, I've been conscious of it for the last 3 or 4 years. And playing with this and diving into different modalities on how I can be conscious and how I can be aware of my thoughts and how I can use these thoughts to intentionally manipulate, a lot of people get triggered by that word, but to manipulate the way I show up in the world. So to actually believe in this concept and to truly engage in the conscious practice of cultivating self-mastery is by far the most powerful thing you can do for developing yourself as a person, for changing the existing reality in which you see and the way you perceive the world, because the world is not the same for everyone. The way I see the world through my lenses that are tainted by my experiences is different than the way you see the world. And to really, fully get that, not just conceptually get that, not just on a thought level get that, but to actually feel into that and know that to be true is something that will profoundly change your life. When and only when you start taking action on it. So once it starts going from concept to action, that's when self-mastery can really start paying dividends and changing your life one day at a time. So for me, self-mastery is something that I cultivate every single day. For me, I use meditation, I use visualization, I use mantras, and it's also what I don't do. I used to watch really violent movies. I used to put things into my conscious mind or in my unconscious mind that I didn't really think it had any effect on me. I'm like, I get that that's just TV, or I get that that's just this, or I get that that's just that. It really is not. What you're pulling in, what you're absorbing, you're like a sponge, and your mind especially is like a sponge. Whatever you give it, whatever content you're putting into it, it's gonna magnify. That's not to say you can never watch a scary movie, or you can never watch a violent movie, or anything. TV, anything is good in moderation. In moderation, and developing the conscious practice, the conscious awareness of deciphering what's real and what's not, and then specifically implementing what you want to see manifest. So what a lot of people do is they just intake all this information, it sinks down into their subconscious being, and then they show up that way. They don't know why, they're not sure, it's just the programming in which we're done. We are, our minds are this supercomputer that we have yet to replicate in the physical world. But our minds are so powerful, and they work on a subconscious level, they work on an automatic level, so we don't have to do certain things. It's like breathing. If you had to consciously think about breathing, how much else would you get done in the day? If you had to consciously think about walking, what else, you couldn't do much else. So our brains are these amazing supercomputers, and to be able to really accept that is the first step to realizing that we have the ability to change them, that we have the ability to input information, to reprogram how we think, and therefore how we act and how our reality shows up. The people that we attract into our lives, the opportunities that come into our lives, the things that we're doing on a daily, consistent basis that are changing our lives one day, one action, one thought at a time. So, if you get that, if that feels resonant to you, awesome. If it doesn't, that's okay too. Keep doing whatever you're doing. If it's working for you, awesome. This is something that's really worked for me. It's really worked for a ton of my clients. And there's tons of neuro research out there that you can go out and read about how input into the subconscious mind really affects our programming, our subconscious programming, and how that programming runs 80 to 90% of all of our actions on a subconscious level that we don't even, it doesn't even get to our conscious mind. So today's training, I'm going to make it really kind of quick here because I've already spent a good 6 minutes just kind of diving into that. Today's training is when you feel an emotion or when you think a thought that you know is not serving you, that you do not want to go and make that part of your reality. Maybe it's a thought of, oh, I hate that person, or maybe it's a feeling of jealousy or shame or whatever it is. Don't block it out. Don't make it wrong. Don't try and hide it. Fully embody it, or fully bring it on, accept it on a conscious level. Be like, I consciously get that I'm angry at that person and that I feel hatred towards them. And then just feel into it. Do I really hate that person? Or is this just an emotional reaction I'm having to that thought or to that action? And when we're able to break down these thoughts, feelings, emotions in a conscious way on a daily basis, we're able to reprogram the way we subconsciously react, and the subconscious way we process all this information. And for me, this was one of the hardest things to do. One of the hardest, not gonna lie. Because we have these automatic reactions, we have these automatic ways of being that have been programmed for however many years you've been alive. They've been being programmed by the different experiences, the different interactions, the different perspective that we all have. So if you really want to consciously create a life that's full of happiness, full of fun, full of love, full of amazing people that are doing, amazing things, if you really want to create that for yourself, it has to start on a conscious level. And from there, we can start to reprogram our conscious thoughts. We can start to reprogram our conscious or our unconscious workings, our subconscious ways of being, things that happen automatically that you don't even have to think about. And once you have those reprogrammed, then it's on autopilot. You don't even have to really think about it anymore. It's just how you show up. So in the last 4 years, I'll give you an example. For me, when I started gratitude, it completely shifted the way that I see every single situation. Now, every single situation, I look for the good. I give people the benefit of the doubt. I don't care what they do. I don't care how they show up. I love them unconditionally for who they are. I don't judge them and hate them for the action or the thought or whatever it is that they've done. Huge distinction. Huge distinction. And when we make that distinction that people are not their thoughts, people are not their actions, people are, we're just energy. We're just this soul, this whatever you want to call it, this spirit. And that you love that person unconditionally. When I started gratitude, I started seeing that in every single person, in every single situation. And it became the biggest blessing because I see people's highest potentials. And as a coach, that really helps me get through their bullshit, really get through all the layers that they're putting up, that people that they're trying to hide from, and really keep their self hidden for whatever reason, for fear, for lack of confidence, whatever their reasoning is. But I can see that. I can see deep within people now and know that they are a great person, that they are at the deepest level, they are love, and they want to be love. And if you can start to see the world with that perspective, with that lens, it will completely change who you are and how you show up every single day. And when you change who you are and how you show up, guess what? Your reality changes. People perceive you differently. Things are attracted into your reality that weren't previously going to show up because you weren't ready for them or you weren't attracting that vibration. So, we're at the 10-minute mark. I really appreciate you guys sticking with me. This is a really complex, deep training. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, matt@thebluespoke.com. Leave me a comment below this video. Whatever it is, I'm happy to dive in further with you and really help you not only just get conceptually, but really start to take embodied action so that this practice can start to work for you every day. All right, enjoy the now. Have an amazing day. We'll talk soon.